That's right. That's right. We are live. Welcome to the bottom of the rabbit hole. Class is now in session. We've got some Matrix 4 potential news, maybe. But joining us here is our resident Matrix Online advisor, Vesuvius MXO.
Hey, everybody. Welcome.
And I'm just going to go ahead and tweet this out so all the yellow-pilled honor roll students can work their way into the room, because like I said, this has been all over Twitter, at least. I don't know, you gotta, is it in Reddit, or I know you're the Reddit expert?
Yeah, it's in Reddit as well.
Yeah, so people are talking about this a lot, so I thought it would be good for us to address it in what seems like real time, because I mean, it feels like this story, is a today thing. So for those of you who don't know, a shout out to everybody who's here, by the way. I definitely appreciate seeing you guys. Shout out to Matrix Spider-Man, Legacy Zero, Beverly Coates, Randy Pena, Freeze Vamp, F. Kaoki. So, right, and he says, hold on, let me see, I'll get this on the screen. He says, wait, y'all, I had a dream I saw the movie. Well, I think you might have had a shared dream with someone, because someone over on Twitter is claiming that they saw it. So let's kind of get into that. I think we got enough people in here to start going over this. So shout out to you, Vesuvius, because you're the one who actually brought this to my attention today. I woke up to your message, and I went over to the tweet and saw what everybody was saying over there. Let me see if I can pull that up on the screen here.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the tweet now, and it got posted 17 hours ago. And I started sharing it about 12 hours ago because excitement.
Okay, so I pulled up the tweet here. Hopefully you guys can see it on the screen. And it says, for the record, even though the invite said a new Matrix movie, the on-screen title is officially The Matrix Resurrections, done in the same style as Reloaded and Revolutions. And then, your comment is here. If I can see. Right, that's your comment there. And it says, thanks for info on the title. Have been waiting for the official announcement since it leaked in January at Neo Matrixology. And right, so as far as the Matrix Resurrections, we've been talking about that all year. Different blogs have been running with that. So as far as we're concerned, the resurrection part is pretty much hardcore Matrix fan common knowledge. But what's interesting here is him saying that he saw a test screening of the film. I think that has a lot of implications if it is true. But I looked at the profile here, and no blue check mark, no big deal. I don't have one, you don't have one, so what? It doesn't really mean anything specifically, but I noticed the location is Hollyweird. And usually like Hollywood types, I usually see like what they do or they work for or how they're famous, or there's just usually something here about how they're connected in the industry. But then it says the Hollyweird thing, and I was like, okay, that's kind of strange, because usually, when I see that, or rather, usually I don't see Hollywood insiders calling Hollywood Hollyweird. So it just kind of like, raised some eyebrows for me. But then I believe it's over in the Discord, somebody shared this link from Wikipedia. See if we can pull this up here. Right. And it says, David Manning, fictitious writer. David Manning, sometimes Dave, was a pseudonym used by a marketing executive around July 2000 to give consistently good reviews for releases from Sony subsidiary Columbia Pictures. Several fictional review quotes attributed to David Manning were used in the promotion of medieval action drama A Knight's Tale, describing Heath Ledger as this year's hottest new star, and Rob Schneider's comedy The Animal, another winner, the latter of which generally received mixed to poor reviews by real critics. So, as it was pointed out when that link was shared, that Wikipedia is in reference to, something from 20 years ago. This pseudonym name and it was specific to Sony films. But I mean, I don't know that I'm just going to chalk that up to coincidence. What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, it is looking a little bit weird. And when I started sharing it around on like Facebook, and people are like, "Well, who is this guy?" I'm like, "Oh, well, he's a critic. He's a critic, right?" Like, I think I even answered in like a question mark. But I'm like, "Well, he claims to have seen a screening, and one of the things that kind of urged me to uh, take this as factual is that Jada Pinkett tweeted about a week ago, or not tweeted. She posted something on Instagram that she got a look at the movie, and it was implied that it was the Matrix 4. I actually went back and looked at it. She's got the Matrix sweatshirt on with the red and the blue pill, and she mentions having seen the movie or having a glimpse at it or something like that. So I'm like, oh well, it's screening time. So the people that are in and around the industry are now screening it. So that's kind of what I was thinking when I read this morning.
Yeah, and I just highlighted your comment here. He made a good point. Like the stream, as you work your way in, please like the stream. Help other yellow pillars find their way to Matrix University. But yeah, that's a good thing you brought up with the Jada Pinkett Smith post, because it's interesting. I think there's a lot of implications, right? If this is true, um, first of all, if it is true, I can tell you that the pictures that we talked about from the live stream with Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss in the CGI gear in Berlin. I mean, if that, or rather, if this is true and that this guy saw the screening last night and Jada Pinkett Smith saw a screening, then those aren't reshoots. If that's what we saw, I can tell you, there's no way they went from shooting that like 5 weeks ago to screening it 4 weeks later. That's just not how the industry and post production works. It takes more time than that. So, that would be, I guess, good news if you're hoping that what we saw in those pictures was them, working on a potential future video game. But yeah, I'm trying to soak all the information in at this point. My thing is digging deep down into the source. And when I ask, like you said, people were asking you on Facebook and on Reddit, and who is this guy? That is still the real question here. I don't know who David Manning is. I don't know if this is a legit story. I've seen that, other blogs have been running with it. But I haven't found a corroborating source quite yet. I mean, you're mentioning the Jada Pinkett Smith Instagram post is like the closest thing that we have to any kind of corroborating evidence for this to be, what actually happened.
Yeah, and that could just be coincidence because she saw it at least a week ago, and he's talking about yesterday. Now, the other thing is, I usually don't bite and don't jump on things like this, and now that you're pointing out the Holly Weird, and this person only has like 500 tweets. Those are kind of flags, and I didn't pick up on those. However, the wording of the tweets, it doesn't seem like inflammatory. It doesn't seem like clickbaity. It kind of sounds like honest feedback. The only thing that's in the wording that I do find a little bit fishy is if this person did see a screener, why are they releasing the title of the movie if it hasn't already been released, officially announced?
Right. So to that point, I think let's, for the sake of this conversation, assume that this is true, right? So to answer your question, in that Ellen Holland interview, when she's talking about the performers in the stunt in San Francisco jumping off the building, she said, well, this has already been, you could leaked, you can already watch it on Reddit, blah, blah, blah. So it's almost like once it's been leaked, once it's out there, then they kind of the green light to talk about it. So I guess, like you even mentioned, the resurrection thing has been out or leaked on the streets since January. So that part of it, might not be a big deal. But again, when I'm just looking at Twitter as I'm talking to you now, it says David Manning, but the @ is viewer anon. So even in his @ handle, there's that anonymous element. So that's a little suspect.
Yeah, that's true. And I did see that before I tweeted it, and I think it said like anonymous or something like that. And I'm like, well, maybe it's just a Twitter handle, which it is. But I don't know the wording, aside from the title. It hasn't been officially announced as Resurrection, so we haven't seen a poster. We haven't seen a teaser for a teaser trailer. Nothing. So why would somebody who has seen the movie and screened it release that title? And it was almost like a point, like you wanted to put it out there, like, hey, just so you know, the title is Resurrections.
Yeah, and I highlighted Randy's message here. He says, "I'm really hoping it wasn't a scam review for the film." I just noticed his icon has dead mouse in the icon, so cool icon. I can definitely appreciate where that's coming from, but yeah, I agree. I hope it's not just hype, internet hype to kind of drive people to get excited about it. But it's just very hard to know right now. Like I said, for me, before I make a video, I really like to try to track the information back to the original source, at least to verify that if I can't find a corroborating uh, source. So yeah, this one's very interesting to say the least.
So I'm going to go back to that Jada Pinkett Instagram post, and I'm about to pull it up. Where is it? Because I'm just curious as to how long ago it was. Oh no, that was May 22nd. Oh, we're going on 3 weeks. We're going on 3 weeks here. Okay, so she's wearing the red pill, blue pill Matrix sweatshirt. Can't see any title or writing or anything, but it says, "Every day I have to make a decision of whether I'm going to take the red pill or the blue pill. A few days ago, I got a peek of the flick." And then she's got 1,900 comments on her Instagram post. So, I mean, we're talking about a pretty big gap here. Now, I think that you have a little more insight on how Hollywood works and how the business works than I do. That you're usually where I'm kind of learning these things. Are they gonna who would watch a screening 3 weeks after the cast?
So okay, so I do, in the sense that I mean, I guess I'm more tied in with the music industry and theater, so I'm not a Hollywood insider. So I can't say for certain how that part of the process works. I was just speaking towards like the post production side. I know that it takes more time to edit that kind of CGI at that level, based on the pictures we saw not too long ago. But yeah, so who might be invited to a screening like that? It could be, like someone in the chat said, it could be critics for kind of, early review buzz, that kind of thing. But what I feel is kind of weird or off base, if that was the case, right, is, well, we haven't even seen a trailer. So, I mean, if we see a trailer in the next couple weeks, then I'll feel more confident about this story. But, I'm having a hard time seeing the timeline, like, oh, let's test screen it. And then if we get bad feedback from the test screen, then we'll go back and do reshoots. Like, I don't think it's going to play like that at all. So I'm trying to think of who else might be on that list. Like you said, that's not cast crew. I guess the next tier would be like, Warner's and Village Roadshow executives. They get early screening access, and they might have seen it after the cast and production crew. But it's a very, very small circle of someone who would get an invitation to that. And that's the other thing that jumped out at me. The person said that on the invitation it says. So that seemed like a very specific detail. If somebody was making this up, then good job for that detail, because I think that that's kind of one of the selling points, if you will, or what made it somewhat believable. That said, like I said, there's a very short list of people who get those types of invitations. And more importantly to me, when I see how Like when you're listening to these interviews, Ellen Hallman, Priyanka Chopra, Jonas, and they're like legit scared to leak anything. They don't want to have any kind of non-disclosure agreement problems. Um, so now when I go back to whoever the mystery David Manning is, it just, I don't know, something just seems a little off for me. I'm trying to figure out or justify, because if you got the invite, that means this is a very short list of people, right? So if you're leaking this and the actors are afraid to leak anything, and the whole Resurrections leak that we talked about in January was taken down immediately, right? Like it just seems like they would know who David Manning is if he was invited to this. So now he's risking his connection to share this. I mean, at that point, I kind of have to assume that if this is legit, that Warner's in on it, and he got the green light to tweet this out there into the ether, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And the thing about the invitation, yes, I'm kind of going back. For the record, even though the invite said a new Matrix movie, the on-screen title is officially The Matrix Resurrections, done in the same style as Reloaded and Revolutions. So what's done in the same style? The titling, like Reloaded, Revolution, Resurrection, or the style of the movie, the tone of the movie. So, it's a little, you can interpret it, is all I'm saying. But then he goes on to use a couple of descriptive words. The Matrix Resurrections, which is all in caps, screened this afternoon, and it is weird, meta, engrossing, surprisingly funny, and ambitious to a fault. I expect word of mouth to be wildly mixed, but the people who will love it. Which I kind of see that, just because the hardcore fans that really enjoyed the Matrix movie and are really into it, they weren't turned off by Reloaded. Okay, I'll just use myself as an example. I really like the sequels. I do see the flaws. Still like the sequels. The surprisingly funny thing, they threw some jokes in the sequels that were I think that they were just there to relieve some tension, but weren't particularly funny. Like when Seraph is talking to Neo, and he's like, "I had to make sure that you were the one," and Neo says, "Well, you could have just asked." It's like, yeah, that's kind of a joke, but it's not really funny.
And the other thing that jumped out at me in that his like little review that we read is the part about it being quote ambitious, because that was something that Keanu Reeves said it was a quote very ambitious script. So um in a way that could be even perceived as meta, right? um I don't know. When you read it and I hear it out loud versus reading the text in a tweet, it almost sounds like, well, you could apply that, like that's a very, I don't want to say generic, but it's something you could say without actually having seen the film, and it probably be pretty accurate.
Yeah, all the circumstances make it feel like it's not particularly genuine, but the text gives me some kind of feeling that this is actually somebody's opinion who saw it.
So okay, scale of 1 to 10, saying 1 you don't believe, 10 you are a full believer. Where are you on believing that this is an accurate situation, accurate description, and that this guy was invited to a test screening?
I'll say somewhere's around 6.
Okay.
And I'm still learning about this name kind of being on Wikipedia as like a, I don't know, I guess a shady character or something. All good. I might be wrong, but I am enjoying the ride, as I've said probably a million times already.
Right,
This is just part of the ride.
you're on Albert's hype train.
Is Albert in? Is he in the room?
I don't think so. I don't know what time it is over there right now. But yeah, that, so I'm gonna say, so if you're a 6, then I'm probably a 4. Like, I'm not a 1, I'm not a 5 is 50-50. I'm leaning towards suspect, but not so hard. I mean, I don't have any hard evidence. The Wikipedia thing is not hard evidence. It's just, it could be a coincidence, but that's why I lean more on the 4 side than the 6 side, because especially with writers, like, coincidences like that are few and far between. I mean, writers are really usually in the know about pseudonyms and pen names and all those kind of like inside jokes. It's almost like what's that? The Aristocrats, like that whole joke amongst comedians thing. Writers have a lot of those kind of inside joke things that they're in the know of. I'd feel more confident, like I said, if his Twitter bio was just a little specific about who he is in Hollywood, or how he's connected to Hollywood, and I'd feel a little bit more confident. But yeah, I'm just not sure, man.
So in the chat, Randy says that they recently did a screening for Batman 2022, and it's possible they simultaneously did one for The Matrix 4, because that's the same studio.
Okay, I didn't know about the Batman screening.
I didn't know either. I'm not following the Batman as much as The Matrix, that I've dedicated a entire Instagram to, and really dove into the fandom since the announcement for Part 4.
So the flip side of that, right, is that Batman had a trailer before they even started shooting the movie. Like,
before they started shooting?
Yeah, right. But before they started shooting overseas. I mean, that's saying they had to shoot something to make the trailer, right?
Well, yeah. I'm just trying to remember the first thing. What the promotional footage was like? Wasn't it all red, and they just showed him in the suit, and they were like zooming in, and people were speculating about the bat logo, and it was like a gun or something.
Right. That's what I mean. So you saw it. So I mean, their approach and the Matrix 4's approach aren't exactly the same, but they are both Warner. So and I also, when people say when's the trailer coming out, I mean, I definitely felt as though Warner would be in total control of those kind of releases. So it's definitely believable that, okay, we're going to test Batman and Matrix 4 at the same time. But what I was going to say is that, to me, that would definitely suggest that we're going to have a trailer to view very soon, if that's the case.
I did hear something which I probably shouldn't bring it up, because I'm not going to say what I heard. But I'll say August, which is really right along with, I believe, what you've been saying the whole last couple of months. It's like, oh, probably August, September, about that 3-month window before the release date. But I heard something, and I believe the person I heard from is gonna say it, is gonna say when. So I'll kind of wait for that, and then I'll share it.
Okay, with the inside information. So hold on, so I can get the cursor here. Randy mentioned that there's a video on it. Warner Brothers was not happy with how Batman was, so they wanted reshoots. I think that was somebody shared that video. I don't know if it was on the Discord or what. I didn't actually watch it, so I can't really speak on it. But I mean, I know, again, that source, he talks about a lot of different movies. I don't know how legit that inside information is, but again, what I will say is that the Batman production and Project Ice Cream, their flow is very, very different from each other. And some of that had to do with them having delays with the pandemic, on somebody actually testing positive on the Batman site very early into shooting overseas. So their timeline just has been very different. And the other thing I wanted to say about that was just that with the Matrix 4, my whole thing is, if they're in the screening phase, okay, I would then think that the December date is absolutely going to hold. So that part of this story has me hopeful, and that part of the story is true. I've got Project Matriculated Dreams here, but yeah, I'm. It's very hard for me anyway, to hold Matrix 4 production in juxtaposition with the Batman production outside of them being, Warner projects, because, with the Matrix 4, you still have the Village Roadshow element. And I just, like I said, their flow has just been very, very different.
Certainly. I mean, it's got. I don't know when the release date is for the Batman, but it's definitely in 2022, and they've had so much promotional footage, especially in comparison to Matrix 4. They've had so much promotional footage and tidbits so far. I mean, so far in advance. Talking about that video with them showing him in the suit and the symbol and the Riddler, and then they did like the full teaser trailer with the duct tape in the beginning. There's so much in comparison compared to the Matrix.
Okay, let me get this comment here. Right, so F. Kaoki says almost 10 times as much info released on Batman compared to Matrix 4.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Right, and that part of it too is just the whole Project Ice Cream element, and the non-disclosure agreements, and them wanting it to be a surprise, which I can't be upset about. I mean, part of what made the original Matrix film so impactful for me as a film experience was the fact that when I saw the first Matrix, I hadn't seen any commercials or trailers. I didn't know anything about it, so I went in there completely blind and walked out completely with my mind blown. So I understand wanting to keep a tight lid on things and not have everything leaked.
Well, I do remember seeing trailers for The Matrix 1, and I wound up not seeing it in theaters, but I was anticipating it. I actually went to the movie theaters to watch it, and me and my friends saw somebody coming out of the movie, and he was like, "Oh, this movie was terrible. It didn't make any sense." So we were like, "Oh, let's go watch this other thing." And like looking back, it's like, why did we listen to that idiot? So, but I've watched it a million times since then. Oh well.
That's funny because that's like the Matrix comic. Get it? The guy. He's like, I don't get it.
Yes, exactly. Oh my god, I never made that comparison. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know why we listened to this person. We didn't like this person, but I don't know. We were probably up in the air on the way to the theater. So, what else? What else about Mr. David Manning? Is it Manning?
Yeah, it's David Manning.
Does anybody in the comments know anything about this person?
Say, Randy, did you do any digging on this guy? Did you find anything? Oh man, so I was trying to find because I'm going to look at the comments here. Okay, here it is. Yeah, shout out to Kavion Davis for showing up. But where's his comment? I thought I had it. Right, here it is. It says, do you hear about Sophia Stewart? I was looking for the video here. But yeah, I have a video. It's the Matrix case study. It's like maybe like my fourth or fifth video. But there's like a whole video on that. So I'm trying to pull it up so you can see what it looks like here. But okay, so this is Empty Arcade. David Manning seems to be the super fan type and has friends in the industry. Seems as in that's his vibe. Right. So, okay. let's run with that for a little bit here. If he's like a friend of an insider, would he get an invite to something this secretive? I don't know. That's it. Randy says, yeah, not much on him yet. So yeah, so like I said, I'm a solid 4. I'm little less than 50-50 on this being true, but yeah, it's out here, it's in the ether now, and
Well, I'm also hopeful because I like news like this. Here we are talking about it. It's got that confirmation, further confirmation that it's resurrections, which I
yeah,
like.
that part I'm behind that. I'm behind that for real. I definitely have seen multiple pieces of circumstantial evidence to support that. So I think we can safely say that it is titled The Matrix Resurrections. So what other Matrix 4 news or stories do we have going on this week? Anything else going on?
Was it yesterday that you released the Telma video?
Oh, I think I want to say that had to be Monday. Right. So yeah, I'm glad you remember that. Let's talk about that for a second, because what I thought was interesting with that is that, it was kind of like remember I can't remember the actor's name. I think it's Steven something, the guy that was from Boardwalk Empire.
Buscemi?
No. I'd have to look it up. But either way, he's in Venom 2, right? So I read an article that had him lumped up in those names, how they say Carrie-Anne Moss, Neo, and then they like list everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So his name was in that one article, and then after that, he wasn't named in anything else. But it turns out he's in Venom 2. So it looked like, perhaps somebody got, Matrix 4 and Venom 2 information all at once, because they were both filming in San Francisco at the same time, and his name just got mixed in the pile there. But in this case, with the Telma Hopkins information, even though her name popped up in a similar way, where she just kind of lumped in with all the other actors in the cast, that information I saw in multiple sources. And as we know, IMDb is not necessarily the most accurate prior to a movie's release, but her bio was updated in the IMDb profile, and Steven, I can't remember his last name, but the guy that played Al Capone in Boardwalk Empire, he was not. So all that little circumstantial evidence there would lead me to believe that the Telma Hopkins leak, or rather I want to call it a leak because it was in the Warner Brothers updated press kit, but that update seems legit. And all the news went to Christina Ricci. I guess as a film actress, she's more famous, which makes sense. But I also would suspect that means it was probably not only legit, but it probably also suggests that Telma Hopkins probably has like a minor role. So let's say, for the sake of argument, I know most people just kind of naturally assume that she'd be the Oracle, right?
Well, that's what I had heard. That's how I heard it.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's definitely jumping to a conclusion, but like, to me, that would suggest that, like, kind of like similar to the role in Revolutions, where she's there at the end with Sati. I mean, I guess she's got some decent amounts of dialogue in Revolutions, but you get where I'm going with it. Like, it's not like a lot of screen time. That's what I'm saying. I could definitely see that being how it plays out. And I know that a lot of people sort of expect Sati and the Oracle to be a part of this project, since they did foreshadow the return of Neo at the end of Revolutions there. So, based on everybody that we're looking at, I mean, if we're looking at the entire cast list, I think Telma Hopkins would be the most likely candidate to play the Oracle.
Yeah, if you're going to typecast, which I know is particularly with the Sati speculation and Priyanka Chopra, she said something like, well, you might not expect, the character I'm going to play. Maybe I do, and maybe I'm right. I don't know. But being Indian is part of Sati's character. So for them to cast another Indian actress would make sense. You know, I'm not just typecasting because it's easy. It does make some sense. So with the case of the Oracle, we've had two oracles, two actresses who played the Oracle who have similar, uh, I guess, heritage, and Telma would kind of be the third and would create that pattern.
Okay, so hold on a second. It looks like we have here either like the most elaborate troll on the internet or the actual viewer Anon has joined us and it says, "Hey guys, the record, it was not an industry screening, it was a test screening. The film was not complete. This is a shot of part of the invite, which is what everyone else in the audience saw. I can't see if you sent a link, like it won't let me see that in the StreamYard broadcast room here. But yeah, if you want to tweet that out and tag us, that'd be awesome. I'd love to see that. And thanks for joining us. This is pretty cool. It looks like David Manning has come. So okay, viewer Anon, now since you're here, you have to answer this question. Is David Manning your real name? Or is this some type of writer's inside joke that I'm not up on? What's going on with that there? FK Oki says Ricci is going to be crazy. Yeah, I'm a big Christina Ricci fan. I've been a fan of hers since Addams Family, you know, child actress. You know, we're not far off in age, so I've always kind of believed her as a actress. Like whenever she's in a role, you know, Speed Racer, Black Snake Moan, all those different roles she's played, the Ice Storm. You know, I've always kind of believed that she is the character she's playing. Here we go. He says David Manning is not my real name. I just always love the story of the fake Sony critic giving BS quotes. So there you have it. There was a link. Shout out to Mavion, who sent, Oranis, who sent us that in the Discord, that connect there. So the connection is legit, which is always awesome to find out the source of the information. And thanks again for joining us. Okay, so since we're here, he said the film is not complete. So I guess that kind of does suggest I guess that does kind of suggest that the CGI gear that we saw Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu Reeves in several weeks ago could still be them shooting The Matrix 4. That makes that totally possible.
So I did want to mention before we kind of was the conversation was flowing, is that you know, there was some footage I remember that leaked of the X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it was like, you know, it wasn't complete, but the film leaked online, so they could have some footage as like a placeholder, and then, you know, with that, I guess those CGI markers that they were wearing,
Right.
that you had reported, and you know, it could be stuff that's just going to be kind of put back in at a later date.
Okay, so hold on a second here. I'm gonna grab my phone. He says, viewer Anon just said, I just tagged you in a tweet to prove it's me. So I'm gonna pull up my Twitter here. You guys make sure you guys are following me on Twitter at NeoMatrixology and Vesuvius at VesuviusMXO. So I'm looking for okay, there we go. It says it's actually me. So I'm going to go ahead and retweet that. So if you guys are following me, you can see that viewer Anon in our live stream has joined us, who, you know, broke this information earlier this morning. And he's joining us now in the live stream, which is awesome. So thank you for joining us and verifying your intel that way. Let me see here. I think we lost Vesuvius. Hopefully he'll come back and join us here in a moment. but I just sent that. I just retweeted that out. So if you guys are following me on Twitter at NeoMatrixology, you can see that we have David Manning in the live stream chat with you guys, which is pretty awesome. So Beverly says, I don't believe there's a trailer. Everything is behind. Right. So this wasn't the trailer. He said in the chat here that he saw a test screening, but it wasn't the final version. So they're still in post-production. And I'm very curious to see when the trailer comes out. But I got to go back to my kind of original timeline here. If they haven't finished post-production, we can't really expect to see a trailer anytime soon. From my understanding, they usually have it all wrapped up in editing before they share the trailer with us, especially something like this kind of project where, Project Ice Cream has been secretive up to this point. So, shout out to X2 Magneto, longtime follower of the channel. He says, this is kind of a bombshell. David Manning is in the building. Yes, we definitely appreciate you coming through and verifying your information. It has been ripping a hole in the Matrix internet today. So, I definitely appreciate you coming in and talking to us and clarifying what's going on here. Because I know there was a lot of questions out there today. People were asking me a lot of questions. I'm like, dude, I don't know. Viewer Anon says, I know that they have previewed a potential trailer for focus groups. I haven't seen it myself. Okay, so we've got some focus group activity going on. Now that makes me a little nervous. Just because from my perspective, that suggests some of that studio meddling. I was really hoping that they would kind of just leave Lana to her own devices and allow her to be creative and let that production team's creative juices put together a final product without too much studio intervention. Focus groups would definitely lend itself to the studio and, wanting to maximize their potential to appease, focus group numbers, but that doesn't necessarily give us the best version of a film like The Matrix, in my opinion. But we'll see. Looks like we got Vesuvius back here. So, Vesuvius, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Excellent.
I crossed over to Twitter to check the tweet, and I lost you.
Okay. Right. The mobile stuff there. He says, previewing trailers and the like is very common, especially with Warner Brothers. I don't know whether Reloaded and Revolutions had test screenings, though, which is interesting because, per Bill Pope and his talking about his experience with the sequels, he said that the studio had the most interference with Reloaded and Revolution. So, maybe it's the opposite of what I said, which would be awesome. That if they're doing test screenings, that means that there wasn't a whole lot of studio meddling. That would be great news. Randy says the only problem is Spider-Man shares December with Matrix, and if they want to steal the heat, they need to release stuff soon. So here's my thought process when it comes to that. I have seen a lot of people talking about that. The kind of December competition conversation has been coming up a lot lately. I don't see that being a really big problem specifically. I think the bigger issue is that if it holds to the December release, it'll still have that HBO Max dual theatrical release. I think that's the bigger issue, honestly. As far as numbers go, I don't know that the Crossroads, because the Matrix or the original trilogy is still rated R trilogy. It's not like Terminator Genesis, for example, where they tried to scale it back to PG-13 to try to open up the audience. I don't know that the Matrix will run into that problem. Like, I've literally seen people tweet, like, during the pandemic, like, I want to see the Matrix in the theater. I will risk my health to see this movie on a big screen. So I don't know that competition from other films, other franchises is really going to be their biggest hurdle. Um, I just think that especially if, what viewer Anon just said, if they're not even finished fully with production, I mean, there's every reason to believe that the date may be pushed back yet again. So that would solve your Spider-Man issue and the HBO Max release issue. So I would definitely keep an eye out for that, especially, with that being the case of that being a test screening, but not a final product. They still got a lot of work to do, it seems. So, if they were in Berlin shooting more CGI scenes for the film several weeks ago, I would not be surprised if they pushed the date back at all.
Plus, it's a holiday. A lot of people are going to have off from work, so people who are going to go and see Spider-Man are still going to have time to go see The Matrix. It's it being a holiday season is a bit of a wild card. I think a little bit different than the other movies that have had a dual release. It may do a little bit better if it does dual release same day. I hope that things change and that doesn't happen, and that we just get the theatrical release. Obviously, I want the movie to do better financially so that we get more Matrix. But it being a holiday, I don't think that it's going to have a big competition with Spider-Man. I think people are going to go see Spider-Man. People are going to go see The Matrix.
Yeah, FK Oki says The Matrix is going to win the show with all these December titles just off name alone. Yeah, I mean, I know. For me personally, and I've heard plenty of people, out here. I mean, we are so ready for this Matrix film. I mean, it's been a 2-decade wait almost. X2 Magneto says, I'd settle for a Code Rain poster and a title confirmation at this point. I'm kind of starving, aren't we all? Yeah, no, we want to see that trailer. But apparently, viewer Anon got his fix last night. He got to see actual scenes. And he says, you never know what kind of edits the studio will want, but the cut I saw was in good shape, VFX wise. I'd say 80% of the work seemed complete. So that's good news. And thank you again for joining us. I mean, this is almost like the Paul Chadwick thing, right? Where we're doing a live stream and randomly, somebody related to the subject matter shows up in the stream. So thank you for coming through, and thank everybody for being here. I really appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Definitely like the stream if you haven't already. But yeah, this is a lot of fun, man. I mean, this definitely is motivating and pushes me to, keep going with this thing and doing whatever I can to share information as it comes in, because I wouldn't have expected, Mr. David Manning to see that we were going live. So the internet is still the great equalizer. And again, I appreciate all of you for being here and having this conversation with us. Like X2 Magneto said, we're all kind of starving for Matrix intel at this point. So, if we can spread the word and put out whatever information is out there to the hardcore fans, then we're doing our job. So again, thanks for, sharing that tweet and engaging with us here to kind of clear this up, because I know that there were, and I'm sure there still are, a lot of questions, as there will be until we see that trailer and the movie comes out. But Randy says, we the fans need to build the hype, and that's the that's the Albert Chesia model, right? Is just the Matrix 4 hype train, and we're just gonna
We're gonna will it into existence.
Yeah, I want video games, I want streams, I want it all. I want more comics, I want more animated episodes, Animatrix, all of it. Give me all of it. I am ready. Take my money.
Yeah, somebody was asking about toys as well. I think it was Matrix Spider-Man. Where are the toys? Who was it? Yeah, Matrix Spider-Man. Where are the Matrix 4 action figures? Hopefully we get some cool ones. Are you? And we're gonna get Christina Ricci action figures?
Oh, I definitely pick one of those up. Um, see, here we go. X-Man X2 Magneto says, "Enter the Matrix 2, baby." And Kevion Davis says, "Bring back the Matrix Online." So it's funny that those are like
Ooh,
back-to-back comments, right?
that's
Because
right.
I definitely feel as though, the odds are we'd see another console game before another Matrix Online, but I could be wrong about that. And I hate to tease you, but that little birdie that said something to me, that video is coming out this Sunday. So because I had to do the last Matrix comic this past Sunday in order to get to that. So I did that, and my whole that video game intel, uh, like I said, where I got that information from, I will be sharing with you guys with Sunday's upload. So look out for that. I believe that's going to be Father's Day, right?
That's good. Yeah, that's Father's Day. That's my gift.
Yeah, that's going to be. You're going to enjoy that gift. Happy Father's Day in advance, bro. Like,
All right. Well, good. In due time. In due time. Now I'm looking at the cast, and I want to see what other action figures we might get.
yeah, Beverly says John Wick action figures out already.
Well, they find spoilers sometimes in the action figures. I think Star Wars, Star Wars, that they've picked out some spoilers just from like the toy lines that leak.
Yeah, and stuff like that is why I don't really think, with Matrix that we're gonna see anything until the film comes out. At least not until the trailer comes out. Somebody was asking me if they might, leak a video game or something like that, or not leak, but release it prior to the film. I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't think that's how it's gonna
Oh,
play
I
out
think we'd have heard about it by now.
timeline wise. Well, that part of it wouldn't surprise me if they kept that part of it a secret. I mean, up until today, up until viewer Anon's information, I was leaning towards the CGI marker gear being a sign that they were filming for a video game. But now it kind of feels more like, oh, maybe they are still shooting in Germany. Maybe the Christina Ricci thing is that she just recently got added. Maybe Thelma Hopkins recently just got added. And if she is playing the Oracle, for the sake of this conversation, maybe she wasn't originally in the script and she's there now. I mean, these are all possibilities.
Yes, so there's. I want to get into that press kit, but I had another question.
What, did you found it?
No, I
Okay.
haven't. I haven't, and that's where I was. That's where I was getting at. But first, I wanted to ask about um, another actor that joined, and I don't recognize this name. His name is Chris Reed. Was he
Okay.
announced a while back?
Yes, and I mentioned him in I believe that's the Jess Wick video.
Okay.
His background is more on the stunt side, but it does appear that he has lines in the Matrix 4. What kind of role he will be playing, I have no idea, but he does have a stuntman background. Also, if you are Anon, if David Manning is still with us, maybe he can shed a little light on that Warner Brothers updated press kit in terms of if he knows somebody who has access to it or where we could find it. Is that public information? Is that something that we can search for on the internet and we're just not searching the right way? If you know where we could take a look at that, that'd be great intel. Because as the Christina Ricci announcement or information came from that. So, I know Vesuvius and I would love to be able to just get a look and read through the details of that just to pick it apart. Yeah, thank you. He says here, let me see what I can find. Reply to press kit. So thanks. No, I appreciate you looking into it. Even if you can't find anything, I mean, that would just be great. A great resource for us to look through. As Magneto says, we're thirsty for intel. So if we can get a couple drops of water, that'd be great. Agua. And he also said Thelma Hopkins has a couple scenes with complete VFX work. I don't think she was added recently. Okay. So that brings us back to I guess the original conversation about Christina Ricci, in that just because we found out in this press kit doesn't mean that they weren't already out there. And actresses like Thelma Hopkins, Christina Ricci, I could totally see them flying into Berlin under the radar without too much paparazzi. I know Christina Ricci has been doing some projects behind the scenes, but she hasn't really been in front of camera a whole lot recently. So yeah, I could see them sneaking in and going unnoticed and not being reported like that. I kind of in terms of timeline, would prefer that that's how it played out, because I'm really, I really don't want any delays. I really would love to see this December date hold in terms of Project Matriculated anyway. I mean, I guess I'm torn. I have mixed feelings. If it is delayed, everything happened for a reason, and it's probably better for the franchise to have a purely theatrical release, yada yada yada. But the selfish me wants it wants it right now. So the sooner the better. Imagine with the technology we have today, a new Matrix game. Yeah, man, we all want to see it. Kavion Davis says Thelma Hopkins, she might play the Oracle. And yeah, that's interesting that he said that he saw her in scenes with full VFX. Because like I said, that means that, that was already shot. They're not shooting that now. And I kind of figured that was the case just because they're shooting John Wick right now. So it would be really complicated for Keanu Reeves to be doing both films at the same time. I'm pretty sure he'll have different hair, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he did fly out to Germany. So I'll keep my fingers crossed for some Morpheus something. Some appearance from Mr. Fishburne as Morpheus in this movie. Post-credit scene, anything.
This comment says Thelma Hopkins definitely looks like the Oracle. This is actually for viewer Anon. X2 Magneto asks, was Christina Ricci in the cut Manning saw? Good question. Randy says secret players in the game, possible Lawrence Fishburne still in the movie. If I had to guess, I don't think that Lawrence Fishburne will be a surprise cameo. I mean, I know that we talked about that briefly in another live stream. Anything's possible because it's the Matrix. So a surprise cameo could happen, but the way that he spoke about it in the interview, I doubt that that was a misdirection. I doubt that he's saying that he wasn't there or wasn't invited, just to kind of throw us off the scent there. I don't think we're going to see him in the Matrix 4. Okay, so he answered your question, Magneto. Viewer Anon says yes, Ricci was in it. So I mean, that kind of tells us right there that even though we just now recently found out about those two actresses from that updated Warner Brothers press kit, they had already been out in Berlin. They had already shot those scenes. So that's really cool to know, and I'm looking forward to seeing all these performances. I definitely think that the casting, I think, is consistent. In these Wachowski products, with the exception of we talked about the Jupiter Ascending. There was a couple castings in there that I thought were kind of misses, but outside of that, I'm usually looking at down the board, very convincing actors and actresses. Oh yeah, by the way, since we spoke about it, I did mess around and watch the James McTeague directed Wachowski film, the Wachowskis produced it. Ninja Assassin. There you go.
Yeah, I watched it last week.
Me too. It's
Cool
back
movie.
on Netflix. Yeah, I saw it popped up. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, there's action in that movie. It's bloodier than I thought.
Yeah, no, they definitely played to the gore side of things, but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not
the
sure.
Keymaker was in it.
Right, yeah, that's him in the opening scene, correct?
Yeah. Can I throw out the petition to bring back the Matrix Online?
Please do. Yeah, you should probably retweet that while we're talking about it.
Yeah, I'll retweet. I got it pinned on my Twitter, which is Vesuvius MXO. I will take the thread I'll take the link to the petition and I'll put it right here in our live chat. So all of you wonderful people that are watching and interacting with us can, if you want to, sign that petition, and hopefully we get a little bit of Matrix Online back. Hopefully before, but even after the release of Part 4 would be super cool. I really think that it'd be a missed opportunity if they didn't release it as part of the lead up.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think we're not going to see anything until after it's released, though. But new Matrix, old Matrix, either way, any Matrix video game is going to get me, behind the sticks and playing, that's for sure. But yeah, I definitely want to thank viewer Anon for coming in here and standing by his statements. I think that's like really cool. It definitely gives me more confidence in the Project Ice Cream timeline right now. I feel like it answered some questions that I had that people were asking me about the recent news. And it's always like really fun to see people, come together, as Matrix fans and, solve the puzzle of Project Ice Cream, so to speak. So is there anything you're working on, V? Is there anything you want to plug? I think we just hit the hour mark, so I think I'm going to end this soon. But this is definitely a good chat.
Yeah, always working on some projects. I'm still working on the ability tree poster from the Matrix Online, and I'll probably start on my video. I've been wanting to make a video arguing that the Matrix in the Matrix Online and the Matrix 4 will still be in version 6, and Neo did not reload the Matrix at the end of Revolutions. We are in version 6 and not version 7. That's what I think, and that's what I'm going to argue. And if anyone is just looking for some Matrix content, I got a really cool playlist on my YouTube. It's called the Animatrix Online. It's just a collection of videos and little short movies that players made from the Matrix Online, and a lot of them are really cool. I think that the two last ones are really, really good, and it's a good collection of videos, a lot of fun, and it's just filled with Matrix goodness.
Okay, so while I have you here, because this was interesting, the statement here says, if the test screening actually happened, why haven't the cast seen it? So Vesuvius, can you restate what you said about Jada Pinkett Smith?
Yeah, so about 3 weeks ago, I believe the date was May 22nd, Jada Pinkett put out a post on Instagram where she's wearing a Matrix sweatshirt with a red pill and a blue pill, and she mentions that she did get to watch the video. She did get to watch the flick, as she said. So, a lot of cast probably did see it, or at least, the ones that they can trust.
Viewer Anon says, I will say to try and stay away from spoilers. Even the earliest stuff in the movie is a fun surprise you don't want ruined for you.
Yeah, cool. If the movie leaked right now, I would probably watch it. But if it doesn't, I'm good. I'm enjoying the build up. And thanks for coming in. I know Lazarus said thank you for coming on over from Twitter, and I appreciate it. It's really cool to have the source of all this news today and speculation come in and talk with us. So thank you.
Yeah, like I said, it definitely makes me feel more confident. Like I always, respect somebody who stands by their statements. It says, I'm on Twitter with open DM, so feel free to hit me up, but I'm not going to spoil the movie just because I found breaking down Wonder Woman 84 in 2019 that the spoilers can spread like wildfire.
You didn't spoil much there. I was really looking forward to Wonder Woman 1984, and I was let down there. But I'll still look forward to part 3.
This is a great question because somebody asked me this the other day. It says, do you think the rumors surrounding John Gaeta returning is true? I haven't seen anything on imdb.com to support that. And even though they are not the most accurate prior to release, when it comes to production credits like that, I have to imagine that if he is, officially on board, his name would be listed. However, if he is just in a consulting capacity, then I could see where he slipped through the cracks. But, if he has the title that was rumored, I'm pretty sure he'd be listed right now.
And what's he, the director of photography?
No, he was the visual effects supervisor. Okay. Basically he was the designer of Bullet Time.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Yeah, he fixed that puzzle for the Wachowskis. Oh, right, and that's what I was going to say. While I have you here, just because I mean, I already answered the question for you privately, but I know some people have questions about my last video. Um, so, and thank you again for getting that a lot of that agent footage out of the emulator for me, because I've been busy on the weekends. I haven't been able to make it to the parties. But the emulator parties are a real thing the first weekend of the month. But yeah, so I appreciate you for grabbing that agent footage. So yeah, in the last video, several live streams ago, I said that I had the next remix ready. I had done the remix for Duhast not long after the Rob Zombie Matrix 4 remix that I did. And with those videos, I like to have the Matrix Online, footage be the visuals for that to go with that. I always have fun. It takes me back to that time of being in the Matrix Online, and where the real genesis of this channel started in 2008, when we were still on Matrix Online. I created this YouTube account so that I could take the Matrix Online videos and post them so that my faction mates could see them. So that's always fun, but I couldn't, like I said, I was busy on the weekends. I couldn't get on at a time where there was enough people on the emulator to get a bunch of shots of, agents running around. I really wanted to have multiple agents. So, you sent me the footage, and, at the same time, all this stuff was going on with the AMC stock. And for those of you who don't know, like, I made a meme, with Agent Smith when everything first happened, because I tried to buy AMC stock when it first, when the whole GameStop thing was happening, and the system told me, like, it said that it went through, and then I got a message saying it was canceled. So I'm like, what's going on? Like, they locked me out, whatever. But what I didn't tweet or put in a meme or whatever was, about a week later, I went back and they let me buy it. And, I got it at a really, really low price. So now it's skyrocketing. And, I did it because I'm a fan of movies. I saw, the reason why the AMC stock was down was because of the pandemic and nobody could go to theaters. And I'm like, well, this isn't going to last forever. People are going to go back to theaters. So, I'll kick in a couple bucks. I'll, try to help and see if we can avoid them filing bankruptcy and, that whole mess. And now, there's a lot of layers and a lot of information. So I don't want to bore you guys with the details. I know not everybody's into stocks, but what I will say, just because so many different movements have co-opted, the Matrix for their movements and stuff like that. I mean, honestly, I think that, the whole Matrix ape thing, I love it, because to me, what's happening behind the scenes with, retail investors, basically the regular people, the me and yous of the world, having stock in AMC and going head to head with the hedge funds and the investment groups. I think it's a story. The mainstream media is going to side with the investment groups because that's who has all the money, right? That's who's going to pay them to spin the story and spin the narrative the way they want. So you're not going to hear this version of the story. But the reason why I'm so behind it now is because it's really, I feel like it's almost like we're the Boston Tea Party of Wall Street in a way. Like, it's the regular people fighting back and saying, we see the corruption, and we're not gonna let you get away with it. We're gonna fight you just because we can. And for me, that's awesome. It's a chance to fight the system in the real world. So that's basically what that video was about. I just wanted to clear that up because I know some people were confused. They're like, what am I looking at right now? And yeah, so that was kind of like my, I guess, little Matrix Online flavored piece of art to support that movement and back that whole thing up. And there's this design here. I'm going to share the screen if I can. Will it let me? Here we go. Yeah, the Matrix ape. So for those who don't know, when a stock is going up and you're riding or betting about the quick rise, that's like bullish. And when it's going down and you're trying to make money that way, that's bearish. But what they call the retail investors or the meme stock guys, or the GameStop stock guys, they call those apes. So that's basically what the Matrix ape represents, is everything I was talking about here is just that I see it as a way for the regular people to fight the system. Again, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Only risk what you are willing to lose. But yeah, I'm holding on. I'm holding on to see how far the Ape Nation can take this thing. So Yeah, I just wanted to explain that for anybody who watched the video and was like totally confused about what was going on.
It's a
Okay, and
badass ape.
seriously, man, I mean, I looked at it today. I think it hit like, I want to say $60 per share or something like that. So pretty high. Right. Viewer Anon said, unfortunately, there were no credits last night, and Don Davis didn't do the music. Yeah, actually, I was in. I spoke to Cyberpunk Matrix. He's got another podcast series out now, and we were talking about that, and he actually mentioned that Tom Tickfer, who is doing the music for Matrix 4, actually was part of a music group that did a song in Revolutions. So he's
cool.
he's even got previous music history in the project. So even though I know a lot of people are bummed out that Don Davis isn't part of the Matrix 4, I have faith that the soundtrack and the music is going to be up to par.
Yeah, it's a compliment to want these composers back and these people to return to their role, and it almost helps feel confident in the movie to have these people back. But there are lots of talented people out there. I have faith in the Wachowskis. I have faith in the production. If I'm going to compare it to part one, I'm probably going to like part one better. But this is still going to be a cool movie. I think it's going to be. I think I'm going to enjoy it just because it's Matrix. With Lana directing, it's going to be on par. It may not be as good as part one, but that's okay. It's really hard to replicate something as good and groundbreaking as that. A movie could be better and not as groundbreaking, and therefore lose in the comparison. So, just talking about the music, there's another video that I watched that talked about the music, and this is actually countering the point I just made. Still looking forward to a new team or new additions to the team. But there's a video that I watched on YouTube that described the music, and it was an incredible video. And I'll probably share it on my Twitter, the link for this video, because I'll have to find it. But since we were talking about the music, I just remembered I listened to the video a couple of times while I was doing some jobs, and then I finally sat about a week after and I watched it, and it's completely incredible. For someone like me who's not a musician, it was I didn't understand all of it, but I was actually overwhelmed with the information, but still understood a good part of it, and it kind of mirrored that feeling I got when I first watched The Matrix, and it's like whoa, it's like this thing is just building and building and building, and then he tries to catch a helicopter as it's crashing, and saves the girl. But the video was really good, so I'm going to share that because I really enjoyed it. I've shared it in one of my Facebook groups, and I'll share it on my Twitter as well.
Yeah, so make sure you're following all of us on Twitter so you don't miss anything. I'm at NeoMatrixology on Twitter. That's at Vesuvius MXO on Twitter, and at Viewer Anon is joining us from Twitter, who actually broke this. I don't know if I'm going to call it a story because, he's standing by it. Let's go to some of his comments here because I saw some good ones while you were talking here. Right, these are very spoiler questions. So before that, he says, I would compare it structurally to The Matrix, but in terms of tone, it is closer to Reloaded. Now, that would be awesome because, classically, most people, say that the original Matrix is the best one. But I personally always like the tone, speed, and flow of Reloaded. So a mix between the two is almost like the best of both worlds.
And Reloaded had the benefit of expanding the universe. It was world building. So now we can kind of pick up in part four, knowing that we have exiles, we have maybe some traitors. We have people who you think would have an interest in the humans winning the war or something, and they take an opposite role. So it's a bigger world than it was in part one. In part one, we knew about the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar. Now we know lots of factions.
And the next comment he says here is Johnson is the same Agent Johnson from Reloaded. I'm comfortable saying that much. So, that doesn't surprise me. I figured he'd be playing Agent Johnson and not agents, a version of Agent Smith or anything like that. But yeah, thanks for sharing. I mean, this is, you really turned it up. This live stream went from 0 to 100 real quick. Like I said, it reminds me of the Paul Chadwick surprise cameo in the live streams here. So man, again, thanks for coming here, sharing the intel with the hardcore Matrix fans here at the bottom of the rabbit hole. This is what it's about, man, is given the most committed Matrix fans the most accurate and trustworthy information that we can find. So I appreciate you for jumping in here and sharing what you saw, or as much as you can. I understand that there's a lot of reasons to not give away too much. There was another comment here. Okay, here we go. The paradigm has changed. This movie doesn't reset to the previous status quo in the same way The Force Awakens did. It respects the ending of Revolutions, and that means there are some changes. Right. And I'm glad you said that, because I've been saying this the entire time when people keep bringing up Star Wars. I'm like, they're not, if anything, they're going to learn from the mistakes of Star Wars. They're not going to repeat the same mistakes of Star Wars. This is not a Disney film. And even the Star Wars universe is at a point where they're like, okay, we got to do better,
I'm really holding back some questions right now.
Yeah, here he says someone asked if it had the same green tint.
Yeah, that's not a spoiler.
Yeah, it says look was familiar, but it wasn't color timed yet. So right, they're still in post production. Real quick, shout out to Stocks Wallet. That's my guy who puts out, like I said, neither of us are financial advisors, but I appreciate what he's doing for the Matrix Ape community. So shout out to you for checking in here. I appreciate you coming through and for sharing the Duhast remix. Thanks for that. But yeah, man, we got some interesting cameos here tonight. Okay, so here we go. No, Neo is not an exile. No, I think that's worthy of debate.
Well, he's got programming. Is that your argument?
Not just that, but at the point in which he's offered the left door or the right door, he does not return to the source. The Oracle, when she defines exiles, says you can hide here or you can return to the source. So Neo chose not to return to the source, and then he ends up where? Mobile Ave, where he has to go through the Merovingian in order to hide in the Matrix. Now, by hide at that point, it's only to fight Smith, but you get the point that I'm saying. He goes through the stages of what the Oracle defines as an exile in the Matrix.
Yeah, that's he also says that he remains irrevocably human, if I recall correctly.
Correct. Yeah.
So yeah, he's human. Yeah, he's becoming. The Wachowski said he's becoming more machine-like, which that we have a bit of a role reversal with Smith, and he has programming, so he's a bit of an exile. So Neo really is the one that represents not only all the humans, as by design, he also represents the interests of the machines there at the end of Revolutions, and very possibly the Exiles as well, because of his new relationship with Ramachandra, Sati's father, and Sati.
Okay, so viewer Anon replies that I should point out that Neo is not in exile in the same way the Merovingian is. There's more to Neo than that.
And I'll go on record saying that the Merovingian is not a former one.
I totally agree with that sentiment, by the way.
But Persephone said that he used to be like Neo.
Right, and I think that statement is very vague and open-ended, and that could mean a lot of things.
Nah,
It could.
in a Wachowski movie? No way.
I'd say it could simply mean that he used to be like you in the sense that the Merovingian used to be head over heels in love with her. Okay, so the Merovingian is different, but Lambert Wilson is on record of saying in a French interview that the Merovingian has been down on his luck. Now, we've been trying to speculate what that means. In his last comment, he says, Sati, ? Never heard of her. So I am wondering if the Merovingian being down on his luck because you brought up Persephone simply means that he no longer has his beautiful wife at his side. He says, viewer non says here, Jessica Henwick plays someone named Bugs, and she's captain of a ship. That's all you're getting from me. Bugs, as in Bugs Bunny, like Bunny?
No, like a bug in the system.
Well, so what's weird for me, and I guess it's just one of those things, once the idea is out there, I guess it's just put into the ether, right? So of course, Lazarus is the protagonist in my fan fiction, but the, I guess, supporting character's name is Debug. So that's weird in a coincidental kind of way, but I didn't name that character, so I can't take credit for that. Go ahead.
Well, the mouse character, you might think that it's like a mouse, like Mickey Mouse, but you use a mouse to control a computer. So there's and you might, and even the way that Morpheus introduced him, the little one behind you is Mouse. Oh, so he's a little mouse. Well, it's not just there's layered meanings to it. So yeah, bugs. Yeah, I think like ladybugs or caterpillars as well, but there's a computer tie into that meaning. It does sound a little silly, though. I'll say that.
So I'm just looking through the comments here.
I'm trying to not look at the comments.
Well, all right. Like I said, please like the stream if you haven't already. I guess if there are any follow-up questions, like I said, you guys can definitely, engage with the three of us on Twitter. It seems like the Twitter connection is definitely popping tonight. So yeah, this is the comment. Viewer non stole the show tonight. But I mean, in fairness, this was a show created by his tweet. So, I'm just happy that he came through to share the stage, because we were all, walking around with big question marks over our head today. Yeah, he says, I'm trying to think of things I can say that don't spoil the movie. The trouble is, it's a big puzzle.
You don't have to appease us. We're all gonna see the movie in a few months. It's getting closer.
No, but I definitely appreciate you taking the time to join us and share what you did. I feel like you put that out into the ether on Twitter this morning, but as far as YouTube goes, I feel like this is kind of like a on the fly exclusive. So thank you for that. It always feels good to, like I said, talk to people who have new and exclusive and specific information to share about Project Ice Cream. It's a very exciting time, to quote Tank.
It is a very exciting time. Every time they announce something, a new addition to the cast, or somebody does an interview, and we're getting little nuggets. It is a very exciting time.
Yeah, Ross, Dr. Green Thumb says, we don't mind spoilers here. This is absolutely the truth. Um, and I do try to warn everybody when I have a video with spoilers. I let you know. I put the little Matrix code spoilers text at the beginning. So if you're not in it for the spoilers, you get warned. But yeah, we're trying to break this thing down, put together as many bits and pieces of information as we can gather, and solve the puzzle. For me, that's been part of the fun. Like I said, when I saw the first Matrix, I didn't know anything about it. I walked in completely blind, and that experience is one that I will never forget. But this time around, I am at that, super fan status, and I want to find out as much as I can. And that's the fun part about this Project Ice Cream. They're hiding stuff. They're making it something where it's not just all out there. So that's been part of the journey these last almost 2 years. We're creeping up on 2 years, bro.
Yeah, wasn't it late August they announced it?
Yeah, August 2019.
I tell you, it was summer 2019, and I was posting. I do daily Matrix online or Matrix content on Instagram, and it got to the point where I'm like, it was almost hard to pick up my phone to do something, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this until the end of the year, and then I'll be done. And then they announced the Matrix 4, and I'm like, oh, I feel fresh. Like I could do this, like Cap. I could do this all day. So now it's fun. And about a month and a half ago, I was going through my archive of Matrix Online stuff, and I just found a whole bevy of screenshots. I found like 600 screenshots, and just looking through all of them, I'm like, these are all like interesting. So I haven't even gotten through the pile that I'm pulling from now. I still have probably a few months worth before I get into this other collection that I found. So stay tuned. I got some cool stuff. It's worth a look and a read. And if you played the game, it'll probably make you feel a little nostalgic, and you can move on with your day.
Well, what I love about it is, the Matrix universe is still, or rather, the Matrix Online is still official Matrix Universe media, and what you're doing, like that's why I call you like the archivist. Like you're like the Matrix Online's, curator. You're the one who's got 600 screenshots to share. I mean, that's incredible by itself. So definitely, keep doing what you're doing. I definitely appreciate your contributions to the community, the overall Matrix Online community, the overall Matrix Universe community. You definitely got a unique spot, so we can't have you quitting on us. Yeah, no, like I said, once they announced the Matrix 4, I mean, I think that did it for both of us, because I was hitting that rookie wall with YouTube and like, oh, this is hard. This is a lot of work. This takes a lot of time. I don't get paid for this. Like, but when they announced the Matrix 4, I was like, all right, you win. I have to do this. I have to commit to this. I can't quit. I got to keep pushing through. Okay, so viewer nonsense, thank you for letting me crash. And then he said, I figured one simple line of dialogue I can give you as a teaser that doesn't ruin the movie if people are down to hear it. So for anyone who stayed this long, who watched till, the end, you are going to get this special treat, a quote, which I'm going to guess or assume was from Neo in the film, perhaps Thomas Anderson. That's up for debate. And he says, quote, I still know Kung Fu. And then he says here, oh, people know about Nemesign. Yes, there was a picture of Lana Wachowski showing that sign They auctioned it off actually for charity, I believe. So that's how we know about that leak. And he says that Bugs is captain of the Nemesign. So he's basically saying Jessica Henwick is captain of the hovercraft that was leaked, or the name of the hovercraft was leaked by Lana Wachowski. So yeah, we got some serious puzzle piece nuggets in this live stream tonight, which was not by design, but I guess fate would have it that, you know, here we are tonight. And I guess we're breaking Matrix 4 intel, huh?
I think we are. I think Viewer Non is, and on your YouTube channel.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that high five. I definitely appreciate it. I definitely appreciate each and every one of you for coming and hanging out with us. We have just hit the hour and a half mark. Time flies when you are having fun. But as always, please, you know, like the stream, share this on other platforms, Facebook, Reddit, Twitter. You know, help this community grow. It costs nothing to do, but I can assure you, if we put in that work as Matrix fans, this thing will blow up to a point where we will have our Matrix Matrix cons and cosplay events and more video games and, you know, more Matrix Universe media. You know, we can have it all if we, the fans, take the reins and demand that Warner Brothers give us the supply. So with that, I'm going to say thanks again to everybody, and class dismissed.